what's necessary. Any leadership that depend upon another is a leadership that will enslave you. I have a dream. Satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. Who taught you, please? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Man, rap today fucking sucks bad. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. These fools ain't spitting no type of dope shit. But that's not even the bad part. They're not even saying words anymore. They just got a hard-ass fucking beat to trick dumbasses like you to make you think you like the shit.
Only our unity can provide us with anything like adequate protection.
Because you can't hate the roots of a tree and not hate the tree. You can't hate your origin and not end up hating yourself. You can't hate Africa and not hate yourself.
Faith, religion, brainwashing, the ailments mankind could never cure.
Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from ships. Cause they knew death was better than bondage.
You can't move. You can't move. Why can't I move? You're paralyzed.
Just like that day when you did nothing. You did nothing. Now, sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
You're not niggas.
Whatever the white man says, ain't never had nothing to do.
Hello, welcome to Young King Truth Tell. This is Kanye Tetsubo. Today, I would like to talk about multiple things that I've been seeing that has been bugging me. The first thing I would like to talk about is the riots. Rioting isn't the problem because, as they said, as they had Orlando Bloom character and Nancy from American Gods say, angry gets shit done. And it does get things done. But here's where the issue comes in. White people. They are the main ones from multiple videos that I've seen. They are the main ones that are tearing shit up. If we have to be very literal about it. They are going around destroying buildings, painting on it with vandalism. They are burning police stations, Target, AutoZone, etc., so on. And guess who's getting the blame for it all? Black people. Black people are the ones who are getting the blame for it all. And that's because they don't care. They see their people doing it, and they're just going to allow them to do it. And then when you see videos where they literally are picking black people out of a crowd of white people for these things, it's when you realize that the system is never going to change. Because guess what? Those same white people that they're picking over, they're not saying anything. They're not doing nothing. They're just letting it happen. And that's to be expected because they're just out there for show. Which I'll touch on that in a little bit. We see multiple pictures and videos where white people are doing things and black people are begging them to stop. Well, what did you expect? Honestly, did you really expect white people to come out there and not do what white people do? Did you really not expect them to go out there and be the ones to tear things up and not care about the consequences and who it affects in the end? Did you really expect that? Because if you really expected them to think of those type of actions, then you really have not been paying attention to history and things that's been going on in this country Which leads me to the second thing. They're just out there for show. White people are not your allies, black people. Again, the things that we're seeing in these pictures and in these videos are white people are out there for show. They are taking pictures, mocking us and what's happening just for clout. And then you sit up there on social media and beg them to talk about these issues. You beg them to say something. And then you get mad when they post these pictures of them and videos of them out there doing what you wanted them to do. Even though we know they're only doing it for show. And they're doing it for you all who keep begging them to do it. It just looks honestly weak and pathetic, if I have to be honest, because you're begging them to do something, which they're doing what they always do. And I'm pretty sure some people have not seen some of the videos. Some of the videos include this white man dressed as Joker from the movie Joker out there in the whole Riot. For them, this is nothing but a movie set. This is a big joke. And then you have another one out there dressed as Batman. That says a lot. That truly says a lot. You have Batman and Joker out there in the middle of all this. It's comical, essentially. And then you want to expose these white people that is doing these things. Why? What's the point? You asked them to come out to fight for your rights. So what they do? They came out to fight for your rights. You asked white people to join you at your protests, even though you know that they're not there for you. Because at the end of the day, when you go home or go to jail, where are they at? They go back to their neighborhoods, they go back to their homes, they go back to their families, to their comfortable lives, whether poor, middle class, or rich. They go back to their families. And then they can brag about this and say, oh, I did this, such and such. They could be like Bernie Sanders years later, be like, I marched with such and such for this cause. Because that's all Bernie Sanders really has. The whole I marched with MLK thing. And you see how he throws it around like that's such a big deal. Like, oh, okay, you marched with MLK. Okay, cool. Who cares? Did anything change? No. So you're bragging about something that's not something to brag about. You're bragging about doing what you think that you should have done, that you would consider righteous, and still nothing has changed since then. And that's what they're gonna do basically. This is nothing but a story to tell their children and their grand freaking children. It's a joke. It's comical to them. It's a movie. Our pain is their mocking game. Our pain is what they don't listen to or care about. You're talking about ending white supremacy. Well, for one, you call them supreme. You're saying that they're superior over you when you say white supremacy, which is why I use the term white aggression and white dominance, because it's a domination. When you think about it in a chess term, chess is nothing but who could get the best of the other person. Straight up domination. And that's what it is. It's a chess game. So I use terms like aggression because it's pure anger, raw hatred, and just spitefulness for us. Just for being who we are. And the thing is, they don't all just have to show their hatred. They could be your freaking friend, your so-called friends that y'all have that are white. They hate you, but you don't hate them. And all this is leading up to more points that I feel like should be discussed, because it's honestly disturbing with what all I've been seeing, and it's come to the point where it needs to be said that y'all look like fools out there, honestly. And this is where another point comes in. Stop the dancing. Oh my god. Those 2 videos of y'all dancing in the streets, and then you have the black guy crump dancing and the white woman doing like some interpretation dance going on in front of the police. I literally, the only thing I could do is shake my head and hold my head down at that point. Like, oh my god, are you for real? You are embarrassing us. Like, oh my god. Those, like, if some of us who are online are tweeting, reposting, sharing on Facebook, and with having laughing emojis and stuff like that, and saying how funny this looks, if we're saying that it's funny and stuff like that, just imagine how it looks to them. We look weak at that point. We look like we're not even serious about this situation. We don't even look like we are ready for what's to happen. We're not ready for change because we're doing stuff like that. It's just pure comedy. It's a joke. And nothing is going to change. Another thing, stop explaining yourself to these white people. You have videos of black people talking to these white police chiefs, or these white police chiefs talking to y'all. Those white police chiefs, they're out there to make you docile, to make you drop down your guard. And then you out there talking to them, saying, oh, they're crying, they have emotion. It's called acting. If anyone who's a psychopath or even a sociopath could cry on cue. Why they could cry on cue? Because they don't have no real emotions. They can fake it. You thinking this white police officer is crying because he feels guilty and bad for what he's doing to black people and what his people has been doing to your people for so long. But really, he's crying because he doesn't want to be there. He knows it's pointless. He's been possibly standing on his feet for the longest, hungry. And what you're doing, you're just shouting, and he's in his head like, oh my god, just shut up. Just shut up and get out of my face. You're annoying me. Your voice is annoying me. Oh my god, why am I here? Why? I could be at home eating, watching the game, or doing something. They don't care, so stop explaining yourself to them. If they truly care and truly wanted things to change, white people could have done this 3 times over. They could have done it so many times that life for black people would have dramatically changed. But it hasn't. So stop all the explaining to them. Like, y'all just embarrassing yourselves for one, and 2, you're embarrassing us because you're thinking you're doing something, but you're not. White people do not care at all. Those things, seeing those things really just irked me. The dancing, the explaining yourself to white people, they're crying. It's sad, honestly, seeing those type of things, because you think that they are feeling this grand emotion or so, and then you had these black men protecting this one police officer, people already think that we as black men are weak and that we are pretty much shit. And let's be honest, they don't think highly of us at all. They don't look at us in a very good light. And then you are out here protecting your oppressor. Oh my God. You can only imagine what they think of us now after that. Like, and the crazy part is you have all this going on, and then you also have to think, why hasn't there also been more reports of COVID? So it's those two things. It's funny. It's like you have all these big riots and protests, and yet you don't hear about this whole COVID thing, which is fine with me, because like we already knew something wasn't up with that. And I was just talking to an old co-worker today, and we was just talking about how we had caught this virus or whatever it was last year at our old job. And the funny part, it all happened on the same street too. That's the crazy part, and it only affected black people. So that was kind of a funny thing. But we took antibiotics, which I heard that in Italy, that's what they're doing to actually counteract this virus, is that they're giving their residents antibiotics, simple antibiotics, because it causes like a flare up in your blood system, pretty much, that causes blood clots throughout your body, and from there it affects each person differently, and from those effects, pretty much that's where you're dying from. It's not exactly the virus, it's something else, as we all possibly already knew. But that's something I just wanted to throw in there real fast, that you don't hear nothing new about that. But to what's happening with these riots, the rioting is not the issue, because white people have been rioting and looting and stealing for years, and when you see them refer to black people as looters, but to their own people as, I hope that's an employee, you know that this system is not going to ever end. Because how is it you see this white woman on video stealing from a store, and you say, I hope she's an employee, but when you see black people do it, oh, those are looters. You have tons of pictures and videos of white people, again, looting and stealing from stores. Those are just protesters. But black people, oh, look at those thugs, look at those looters. They just can't say the N-word on national TV. But what's really making all this truly sad is a lot of what I'm seeing is black women saying that they don't feel protected by black men. That they feel like a lot of black men are weak because of the things that they've been seeing, where you have George, who was killed by this white man, but because he's with a white woman, has a white fiance, they feel like it's not their problem. And in a way, everyone is entitled to their opinion. He, in the end, is still a black man, whether or not his fiance was white or not. And you already know I am not for interracial dating. I'm for the fact that it's a black man, he was killed, but in the end, that's who he sleeps with is not my problem. I don't care. I'm not sleeping with you. I love black women only. So that's what That's more where I would stand on that one. Even though all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. Now, if you say that he was toxic and said negative things about black women while with this white woman, now you've caught my interest. That's where I would draw the line. But at the same time, his family, I'm not sure which one, whether that white cunt or his black family, are saying that they're not wanting to fight no more. They don't want people out there rioting and stuff. Well, that's fine, because there's still a ton of other black people who were killed and their murderers are either free or they got such a low sentence in jail that it make no sense, because a lot of black people don't understand the difference between being charged with something and getting a conviction. They can charge you with anything. It's that conviction that you want. And that's where we, as black people, fail to understand law. You could charge someone with murder, but are you getting convicted of it? That's the major difference. And the reason why they give these people these charges is to shut us up, to stop the rioting, stop the looting, to make us docile again. Now, I know you notice I've said that so many times, because that's what they want to do. They want to, like Malcolm X said, if you got coffee, if it's too strong, you gotta weaken it. You gotta put a little cream in it. And then you put so much in there, you go right back to sleep. And that's what they're trying to do with the whole charge. The charge is to make you go back to sleep. Right now, you're wide awake. You got energy. But as soon as they say he's got a charge, you're going to go straight back to sleep and stop fighting. But once he gets convicted, now that's where you should then celebrate. But like usual, like per usual, that's not going to happen. Because they're not going to convict their people. Because the system is not built for us. It's built for them, by them, for them. Like how we have our anonym FUBU for us, by us, they have theirs the same way too. And that's called white aggression. You still have a lot of people out there that needs to be talked about, like Nia Wilson, Breonna Taylor, Pamela Turner, Sandra Bland, Corey Gain, and so many more black women who have died, and so many more that we have not even heard about. Even during these riots, many people, black people, have died, and we don't even know who they are. And it's our job as black men to protect black women. If black women don't feel protected around us or by us, then we truly have failed. Like one post I literally seen on Twitter, she asked, who's protecting black women? And another black woman replies, sadly, we are the only ones protecting each other. And it's at that point where we as black men truly have to stand up. Because even though we're being gunned down by police in the streets like dogs, we still have to stand up for black women at the same time and protect them. Because there's a way that war goes on that a lot of people don't understand. And one aspect of war is you kill the strong men. After you kill the men, the women are left unguarded, and so are the children. And when the women and children are left unguarded, your oppressor could do whatever they want with them. Even though there could be many black men out there protecting black women, these black women will not see that. All they will see is what their oppressor is telling them or showing them. And that's where the issue comes in at. Because so many times that they've killed us, some black women still don't see that we are out there protecting them. The only thing they are seeing is what their oppressor is showing them. And then that cycle is repeated back into society. And granted, a lot of the things that black men have done, they took on the ways of their oppressor. And we can't sugarcoat stuff like what some of the Black Panthers have done. And it's not exactly what they've done, it's more like when they follow certain people, like Eldridge Cleaver, who pretty much was about misusing and misabusing his power. He practiced certain things on black women first before going to white women and doing it on them. And in this post that I read a while back, it said it pretty much was about women in the Black Panther Party, where they assert their dominance and try to get the men right, and the men would then beat on them. And one of these women had got her jaw broken, pretty much shattered, and that's when the women decided to leave the Black Panther Party. So when you think about it, it's not really that the women gave up on us and just decided one day to leave the party. There's always an action there's always a reaction to every action. And that's why when you see these videos of black people beating down these racist white people, you have to think in the context, for every action there's always a reaction. So that action would be them saying something, and our reaction would be us beating them down. So that's why when I hear other black men saying that in the 60s it was the women who pretty much abandoned us, no, it wasn't the women. Those black men abandoned those black women, and they went to where they thought was the right option or the best option for their protection and survival. So they was led right into the feminist hand, rather than those men listening to them and actually being men and picking their nuts up and actually being about their action. And all this leads back to religion, because when you look at religion, a lot of it has verses in there that is against women, especially black women. And because the white man has taught us his religion and his hatred for women, we picked that up ourselves, and it became a part of our culture and a part of our society. White men have never loved their women. They have never loved women in general. And it's those things during slavery that we picked up, and it's been a part of us for the longest, which is why a lot of things have to be unlearned. Because when you learn about things how it was in Africa, how women had a dominant role in society and were worshipped as God, not goddess, because goddess was a term to actually just make a difference, so they cannot be asserted as one god, but to make them a lesser god. And when you learn about these things, you understand why it's such a threat to white men, white women, and white society for us to call black women God, and why it's such a threat for black men to actually love black women and care for black women and want to only be with a black woman, because they know that once we have that type of knowledge, then it becomes a threat to their society. That once we become united on that front and start truly listening to black women and standing up for black women, then their society truly fails and falls. Because we already know that black women are the true standards of beauty. We already know this. This has been established a long time ago, that there is no other above black women. And yet you still have some black men caping for white women, caping for Asian women, caping for Hispanic women, just caping for everyone except their own women. But guess what? When you have those black men who cape for all those other women, they'll push that narrative to the front and keep those like myself who only want a black woman and hide our voices to the back. Because you can't keep people in control if you push the positive aspect out. What you gotta do, push out the negative. Make them see what you want them to see. Hide the true voices. And guess what? You'll then keep people thinking this one crazy narrative that black men hate black women. And that will continue to perpetuate more negative stereotypes and everything within our society. Because if they truly pushed the black men who love black women's voices out there, and the black men who are actually protecting black women out there, if they push those narratives out there, they would lose power. And that's why it's up to us, those who are on social media, to push that narrative that black men truly do love black women and out there to protect black women. Because we can't let black women continue to believe that they are not loved, protected, or cherished by us. That's gotta stop at some point. They have to truly see us for who we are as we see them for who they are. Because only a black man can truly love a black woman because he understands her struggles as a black woman. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Uncanny Truth Teller with Kanye Titsbo. If you would like more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well follow us on Anchor at The Uncanny Truth Teller. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And with that being said, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Don't you ever forget that being black is an honor, because you come from